So go ahead and get yourself set up, and we're going to start standing at the top of our mat. As this is the hour-long standing strong class with a lot of standing postures. But of course, we're going to make our way down and in that beautiful surrender final resting pose on our back on the mat at the very end. So don't worry, you're not going to be standing the entire time. So go ahead and get yourself standing at the front of your mat. And then ditch my sweater because I know I'm going to warm up real fast here. So with those feet spread, hip width distance, and you want to ground down, and you're really trying to find the four corners of your feet. It's the two on the sides of the ball of your foot and the two on the sides of your heel. And you're weighted down into those four corners so that you can lift your toes up. And then we'll begin to kind of just soften and straighten those kneecaps and notice that the quads engage as soon as those kneecaps lock up, right? As soon as they come up, you feel the quads engaged. So get that quad engaged position and then straighten that tailbone a bit, lifting that pelvic floor and getting your hips nice and even. So you just want to notice with your hands at those hip points, is your pelvic floor spilling forward? A lot of us naturally stand with a pelvic floor spilling forward, right? With that tailbone a bit lifted in the back. But another way that we can be out of balance there is we can spill back. We could be tucking that tailbone in so far and pulling that pelvic floor up so much that we're tilting back and spilling out the back of the pelvic floor. So we're really looking for that balanced right there in the middle. Hips pointed straight forward and a nice evenness through that pelvic floor tailbone area. So from there, we're going to open up with a spiritual mind treatment. So you can be really loose on this upper body, but I want you to hold this lower position with your legs. Kneecaps engaged, quads on, pelvic floor even, and your abs a bit engaged here, that belt tight around your waist. Take your hands to your chest, make a little bit of heat. Take a big breath in. And letting that go. Just opening up with the recognition that it is spirit within me, it is spirit within you, that is the expression of the divine mind, the God mind, the all-knowing, the all-loving, the ever-expanding goodness expressing through me, through you, as you. We are the individual fractals of the divine mind that are here representing the God mind, that are getting out of our own ways through this practice, standing strong in the knowing of the truth of who we are. And so we dedicate this next hour to the flow, to the breath, to the flow, to the movement, to the giving in, to the being in this moment, rejoicing in the design that we've been given, the movement that we find, the freedom that we express, and the love that we are showing to our own forms in this practice. Knowing that it is not only believing within the subconscious the truth of who we are, but it is coming back within the body and remembering in every single cell the truth of who we are. Taking another big breath in and releasing this word up into the divine mind with so much gratitude to express, to move, to breathe, and to be together. We say, so it is. All right, with that, roll those shoulders back away from your ears, pull that chin in slightly so that your ears are over the shoulders. And we'll take those hands to heart center and we'll begin to just stretch the neck. So turning your gaze over your right shoulder and then slowly bring it over your left shoulder. Your palms are pressing together so that your arms are engaged here. Your shoulders are soft away from your ears and you're just turning your head side to side slowly, not pulling anything in the neck, just beginning to warm and wake the neck up. We want to start here because we hold so much tension in this area. We want to let go of as much tension before we take ourselves into those standing working postures so that we really get the most that we can out of our practice today. So just receiving the breath into your body as you're turning the neck side to side. One more time, we're breathing through the nose, out the nose, keeping the breath in the body, Nice and long and smooth inhales and exhales. Last time with this turning of the head, and you'll come back to center and we'll say yes and no a couple of times. So inhale that chin up and exhale that chin back to your chest. Inhale the chin up. Exhale the chin to the chest. Keeping the nice belt tight around your waist. One more time. Inhale, chest up, chin up. Exhale, chin to chest. Good. Let your arms go to the side. We'll take our right ear to our right shoulder. Extend your left arm out. Spread the fingers wide. Tuck the thumb and make a fist. Do that again. Spread the fingers out wide. Tuck the thumb and make a fist. One more time. Spread the fingers wide. Make that fist one more time. Thumb tucked. Roll the wrist one direction. Reverse. Spread those fingers wide again. Turn that palm away from you. You'll bring the hand behind your back. It's going to stop somewhere, maybe on the outside hip. Perhaps it comes closer to the middle of your back. Maybe it comes all the way over to that other hip. Wherever it lands, leave it there. Drop that left shoulder down away from your ear. Feel that stretch a little deeper. Take another breath here. You'll straighten the head up. You'll bring your right fingers to your right hip. They may find your other fingers. They may be close. They may not be that close at all. Take a breath here. Let the shoulders drop away from the ears on the exhale. And let that go. Left ear to left shoulder. Breathe there. And then extend that right arm out. Spread the fingers wide. Make a fist, tucking the thumb in. Spread the fingers wide. Make a fist, tuck the thumb in. One more time, nice and wide with the fingers. Tuck the thumb in, roll the wrist one direction, then the other. Spread the fingers wide, turn the palm away. Same thing on this side. The hand comes somewhere behind you, stopping where it feels right for you, dropping that shoulder away from your ear. Breathe there. Lifting the head, bringing that left hand to the left hip. Maybe it finds the fingers somewhere close, maybe not at all. Take a breath. Dropping the shoulders away on the exhale. Good. Inhale those arms overhead. We're going to bring them through heart center, fold down, flat back as we bend through the hips, folding at the bottom. Nice and heavy with your head, no with the head a couple times. Side to side, turning the gaze. Go slow, say yes a couple times, lifting the chin, lowering it. Again, lift and lower, grab opposite elbow with your hands, and you're going to gently rock side to side, just releasing all that tension out of the low back. Keep your head nice and heavy here. And then we're just going to ragdoll up. One vertebrae at a time. We're really articulating through the spine, just waking the whole body up before we get into bigger movement. Arms are heavy, like a rag doll. Keep your chin tucked. Bend your knees deeply as you roll up. Belly coming in, one vertebrae at a time, all the way up. Your shoulders will roll back first before your chin raises up slowly, letting that blood come back in slowly so we don't pass out, right? We're going to move through a simple half sun sal, taking a big inhale up. Arms come wide, flat back, fold over, bending through the hips, rounding at the bottom. Halfway lift with hands to shins or staying at the floor, flat back, lifting up through your hamstrings, through the glutes so the hamstrings stretch, and then back down with that exhale. Root down. Rise up, sweep those arms overhead with a big inhale, palms together at the top, coming through heart center on your exhale. And we're going to flow through that a couple more times with the breath. Inhale, reaching way up, sweeping arms up overhead. Exhale, dive forward, swan, diving arms wide, flat back, rounding at the bottom. Halfway lift on your next inhale, hands to shin or staying at the floor. Nice long through the neck and spine. Right, releasing down into that forward fold with your exhale. Root down, rise up with your next inhale, sweeping arms overhead. Big inhale, palms meet at the top, maybe gaze looks up, and then down through heart center with your exhale, pressing through so the arms stay engaged. Again, inhale up. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift with your next inhale. Exhale, fold down. Root down, rise up, sweeping overhead and meeting hands at heart center. Coming through with that exhale. Let's pause here. We're going to find a little bit of balance into our right leg. So first we tighten the belt around the waist, and we think about when we lift that left leg, we're going to flex that foot right away. With more engaged, turned on, you're going to hold that balance easier. And finding something to gaze on in front of you that's not moving is a very helpful point when you're in any kind of balanced pose. Focusing on something not moving will help you stay more steady. So with hands at heart center, pressing them, belt tight around the waist, shoulders soft away from the ears, nice and long through the neck and spine. And you're soft through the tailbone with that pelvic floor slightly lifted, right? We're in our active mountain pose. Stay lifted in your right hip as you weigh down into that right foot, starting to lift the left foot, flex it right away, bend the knee up. Holding that balance for one breath. On your next inhale, you're going to step it behind you. And then you're going to turn immediately into your long edge, facing me. And your feet are parallel to your short edges of your mat. So you've got your toes pointing forward and your heels pointing back. And you want to be from a wide spanned arm distance. You want to see that your wrists, your feet are no further than your wrists. So that's really what you're looking for. You can shorten it up if you want to have less range of motion for where you're at. Absolutely. But you only want to come as far as your wrists with your feet, no further. So I have a lot of room in my hips. I can come out that far. So from here, we're going to bend over from the hips, flat back, come on over into forward fold. Halfway lift on your next inhale. And fold down again on your exhale. Walk your upper body over to your right leg. You can stay there or you can hold on somewhere behind the leg, around the ankle. Pull yourself in a little closer. Keep the head heavy. Take another breath here. Next inhale, walk all the way through to that other side. Same options here. You can hang out or you can grab hold of the leg somewhere. Pull yourself in a little closer. Keep the head heavy. Another breath here. Coming through center, we're going to halfway lift again. Drop your left hand through. You're going to reach your right arm up, look up, getting a nice twist here in the center. Exhale all the way down, right hand plants. We inhale, halfway lift, reach that left arm up, finding that twist. And exhale it down. We're going to flow that a couple more times. Inhaling, right arm up. Exhaling it down. Inhaling, left arm up. Exhale it down one more time each side, finding a nice deep twist here in this half lift, straddle fold. Exhaling it down one more time, inhaling, left arm up. Exhale, fold down. You're going to find your heels in, toes out, knees slightly bent as you come slowly up. You're in a horse pose, second position, goddess position. So there's a lot of terms for this, but your knees are bent. You see your big toe. If you don't, you got to close those feet up a little more. You want to see the big toe and you want your shoulders lined over your hips. You don't want to come down so far that you're bent way over, that's gone too far. You want to have an imaginary wall behind you that you're sliding up and down. We're going to start to inhale, arm, legs straight with the hands at the hips, and then exhale back down. You're sliding a wall. So inhaling up and exhaling straight down. Remember, don't go so low that you bend forward. Keeping that nice long spine, moving with the breath. One more time before we get the arms involved if you want. So you don't have to. Always options in my classes. You take them or leave them. If you want to take those arms, we're going to reach elbows close to the body, reaching out wide, and then pulling those elbows back in. We're pulling down on the lats, lat pulls. Think that. A big reach, arms up long, and those fingers are spread wide. It helps keep the leg or arm fully engaged. Inhale up. Exhale down. Give me 2 more. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Good. We're going to stay here. Get a little bit of a different twist, taking your right hand against that right inner thigh and look over that left shoulder. Inhale through center and just switch sides. You're pulling that knee kind of open, getting a really deep inner thigh stretch there as you twist through the center. Inhale through center, twist to that left side. One more time. Inhale through center, twist to that right side. Now listen, we're going to take a big step back up to this front edge, and you're going to use your core to do that. So turn that belt on nice and strong, and then turn yourself and step. Okay, use your core to do that. And find your feet half hip width distance. Find that mountain pose, that pelvic floor slightly lifted, pelvic tailbone long, nice and even through the hips, shoulders soft, chin slightly tucked, palms forward. Breathe. Good. Next inhale, lift up overhead. Fold forward. I'm a little too forward, close to that wall. Halfway lift on your next inhale. Exhale, you're going to find your plank pose. So you can find your toes for your plank pose, or you can find the fleshy part of your knee. If you want to be on your knees, come down to the bony part, but pull your heels in and rock forward slightly so that you're on the fleshy part of your knee and you stay off the bone, right? And another trick here that I want to show you is you can fold your mat up. If you need a little more for your knees and you don't have knee pads handy or nearby, you can fold your mat up and get a little bit more there. And I'll work from here this morning so that for those of you that are here, you'll see how we're going to do this. If you're on your toes, you know what you're doing, I believe. So holding this plank pose, one more breath. You have a nice long neck and spine. You're gazing out that front edge, not tucking the chin in, and you're pulling those heels in so that your quads and hamstrings are engaged as well. From here, we're going to move with the breath. You're going to set your feet down as you come back into child pose, right? So you'll find the tops of the feet either on your floor or your mat, if you took the bend or not. Elbows are up off the mat. So you have your shoulders opening up here. Your head has come all the way down. Maybe it touches the mat. Maybe it's close by. That's okay. That's where you're at. Keep a nice long neck and spine, not tucking the chin in any way. And we're going to flow just those 2 movements first with the breath. So we'll inhale forward into that plank pose. We want to pull the heels in to get on the fleshy part of the knee, and then back with the exhale, setting the feet down, finding the tops of the feet on the floor. Keep moving with the breath. Inhale forward. Notice that your hands are right under the shoulders as you come into that plank pose. You want to move those wrists right under the shoulders to keep that nice alignment so that you're building strength and not compromising your joints in any way. 2 more breaths. Inhale forward. Exhale back. 1 more like this, then we're going to move a little more dynamically with that breath. If you choose, come with me, and as we inhale forward, we'll come halfway down into that crocodile with the exhale. Inhale back up and exhale into child pose. If that felt like too much, just stay with the two movements that we were doing to start this. This is just another option to start to really build strength into those arms. Keeping the flat back the whole time. You're not bending into a round back, and you're also not coming so low that you have a curve in your back. Now I just adjusted my knees because I could feel them pulling back through the movement. So make those adjustments to keep your alignment as you move through this. We have one more full set. If you're in the back and forth alone, you've probably got two more. Stay in child pose and drop into this. So elbows soft on the floor. You can even pull those heels back, hips back to your heels a little more. And really sink down into this. Take a couple breaths, just resetting. And while you're here, say no a couple times, taking that tension out of your neck. And say yes a couple times. Good, and then you're gonna find tabletop position. So if you folded your mat up, like I did for that extra padding on your knees, unfold it, get a long mat, and find your tabletop position. We're not gonna stay here very long. We've got those standing strong postures coming up. So just a moment here on the knees, and then right away, find your hands under shoulders, knees under hips, right? Find that good alignment, nice strong base, tuck your toes, and on your next inhale, hover the knees. Exhale, lower down. Two more. Inhale, hover. Exhale, hold, pull them down. Place them down. Inhale, hover. Exhale, release. On this next hover, you won't release on your exhale. You'll lift your hips into your first down dog. And then walk your dog. So bending one knee, pressing the other heel down. Finding that good stretch down the back of your leg. Notice that your shoulders and arms are fully locked in there at the shoulder girdle and nice and engaged through your bicep. Your ears are next to your bicep. You can turn your head here in your down dog. Again, taking that tension out of your neck. And then we're going to baby step in toward those hands. You're going to press the heel down every time. So you're getting a good stretch down the back of that leg. You can tense your fingers as you come closer. And coming all the way to that front edge, forward fold, knees bent deeply so that the belly can rest. Take a halfway lift with your next inhale. Exhale, fold down. Root down, rise up, sweep those arms overhead, meeting the hands together. Palms come through heart center on your exhale. Good. This time we're going to weight into that left leg. So we're going to balance onto the left, lifting up that right, flexing that foot right away when we come up. We start with the tight belt around our waist, getting that soft tailbone, even pelvic floor, shoulders soft away from the ears. Press the palms in. Everything's engaged here. As we shift over into this left leg, toes spread, nice and lifted as you flex the right foot, draw the knee up. Hold there for a breath. Step back into crescent lunge. So that's with the ball of your foot connected to the floor. And you can take a real short step back for crescent lunge or a really big, long step back. You get to choose your crescent lunge here. We're going to hold this strength for a moment. So what we're doing here, we're stretching out our hip flexor. And I chose to have my mat sideways, but some of the time I'm going to turn, right, to give you the view of what I'm doing here. So when I took that step back, a lot of times that hip pulls back with that step back. We have to intently, with purpose, pull that hip back forward and get the stretch that's meant for us here, which is a good hip flexor stretch as well as a glute stretch. And you've got a little scissor happening here in your thigh. So those legs are coming together without compromising this knee coming in, right? So that stays over the ankle. Tailbone soft, pelvic floor lifted slightly, right? Shoulders soft away from the ears. Arms can be at heart center or overhead, and we're holding for 2 more breaths. This is balance, this is strength, and it's stretch. 1 more breath. You're going to take a slight step in and flatten the foot at a 45-degree angle. We're going to pyramid pose next. So arms can be overhead or at heart center. First piece of this is to flat back, bend from your hips. Start bending from your hips, keep your back flat, and come halfway down. Now adjust your hips, because often when you're coming into pyramid, that right hip, the leg that's back behind you, is pulling open. You want to keep those hips as even as you can. Feel this glute fired on this left leg. Keep a slight bend in this left knee. You don't want to lock that knee out. Now from here, you can drop down further, but don't drop so far that your hips pull open. So a lot of times I'll see people wanting to get their head down all the way to their leg, and they pop that back hip open and compromise the whole pose. So you're not trying to get your upper body to your front leg. You're trying to keep your hips even and really stretch through that front leg all the way from the very bottom Achilles heel up through the top of the glute. Taking 1 more breath here. Use your core to lift halfway again, hands at hips, and then all the way up and step forward. Good, shake that out. We're gonna stretch the upper body between sets. Take a big inhale up, grab that right wrist and lean to the left. Inhale, reach up, grab that left wrist and lean to the right. Again, inhale, reach up, grab that right wrist, lean. Inhale, reach up, grab that left wrist, lean. Inhale, reach up, goalpost the arms on your exhale, puff your chest out, chin slightly lifted. Again, do that 2 more times. Inhaling up, exhale, goalpost. Again, inhale up, exhale, goalpost. You bring your hands back into heart center. We're going to go to the crescent lunge on the other side. So tighten the belts around your waist, keep your pelvic floor even, right? Shifting the weight into that right leg, flex the left foot as you draw it up, and you're stepping back into your crescent lunge. And again, you get to decide how far back you're going to step, but right away, bring that hip forward, feel that squeeze between your inner thighs. Check that your front knee stays bent over your ankle, right? A lot of times you do this without realizing. You're straightening your leg as you're getting into this pose, and you don't even realize you came out of that bent knee. So with that strong base, the inner thighs pulling together and your front heel and back toe kind of pulling toward each other. So you're really steadying your base here. You can keep your hands at heart center, or you can lift them overhead, and you're taking 2 more breaths. We're building strength, we're holding balance, and we're stretching. Good stretch through this hip flexor. Last breath. From this crescent lunge, we're stepping that back foot in about 2 to 3 inches, and we're angling it at that 45-degree angle and straightening that front leg, and then evening those hips out. So this is our pyramid pose for this front leg. It's not for your upper body to get down there all the way to the bottom. Hands can stay at hips or at heart center as you come flat back halfway. So then find those hips even, pull that back hip forward, front hip back. Stay there in your hips as your upper body lowers down. If you have blocks, this can be where you lift the floor up to your hands. Your blocks can be really helpful here because you're not trying to get that upper body all the way down. Breathing here, nice and heavy through the head. If you can come all the way down, keeping the hips even. Be my guest. One more breath. You're using your core to come up out of this. So this is a good ab work here. Hands to hips, lifting halfway first, and then all the way up. Good, and step it forward. Good, we're gonna start to flow. So we're gonna take that right leg back into warrior two right away. Let me get on my other side. Right leg back into warrior two. You're gonna slice your back foot even to that back short edge is what you wanna find. You wanna weight into the back edge of that foot so you find that length through that back leg. Your front leg, knee is opening up to your pinky toe. You see your big toes. Your front heel is lined up to about midway to that back foot. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for front heel to back arch alignment so that the hips stay even. And then when we come up into warrior two, right, a lot of us stay crunched here in that front hip. You just want to lift that upper body so that the shoulders end up right over those hip points. Your hips stay opening up, that knee opening to that pinky toe, finding that back long edge, and then arms at shoulder height. We drop the shoulders away from the ears and we gaze down that middle finger and we hold this strength for one more breath. And we're going to flow through this. So reach your front arm forward, flip that palm up, find your extended warrior, stay bent in that front knee, reaching up, keeping hips even, and then find your side angle. Don't dump down into that front leg, slightly resting that bottom arm. You can reach this top arm up to the sky, maybe toward the ear. I like to open that palm up, open the shoulder up, flowing it with the breath. Inhaling into your extended warrior, your exalted warrior, and then exhaling to your extended warrior. Two more times. Inhaling into your exalted warrior. Exhaling into your extended warrior. One more time. Inhaling up. And exhaling all the way through. Coming back into your warrior two, we'll straighten that front leg. Shoot those hips forward and find our extended triangle. Holding one more breath. And then full triangle pose. As upper body shifts forward, hips shift back, reaching as far as we can and tipping from that point. And so this front arm resting against that leg. If you have your block nearby, that block can lift up to you, and you're opening up that upper body, stacking the shoulders on top of each other. Gaze can stay lifted. If you need less tension on your neck, your gaze goes down to the ground, or it can be anywhere in between. One more breath here. And then we're going to move through our high-low push-up, chaturanga series, coming back up into, we'll cartwheel down into low lunge, and step back into your plank pose. From your knees or your toes, you will shift forward with your inhale. Exhale, lower down. I come to the knees, skimming the elbows alongside that upper body, finding chest near the ground. Let me scoot back. I'm into my step. Shoulders and hands in alignment. Tops of feet pressed into the floor. We're going to use the core to lift the chin into baby cobra, not the hands. Pressing the tops of the feet. Belt tight around the waist. Exhale down. Tucking the toes. Pushing our hips back into the heels. And lifting up from there for down dog is one way to come out of down dog. So if that felt good, stay with that next time. You're going to walk, step, or hop to the front edge of your mat. Finding your way into that forward fold, inhaling halfway lift on your next inhale. Lengthening through the spine, lifting hips, stretching through the hamstrings, and then exhale, lower all the way down. Root down, rise up, reach up, sweep up, hands come through heart center on that exhale. We'll go to that other side. I'm going to turn around So you get the other view of me stepping that left leg back now, finding warrior two right away. So finding the alignment with your outside edge, pressing that long leg into the floor, into your mat, lining that front knee toward the pinky toe. You see your big toe, you're opening up, shoulders over hips, arms at shoulder height, gazing down that second edge, second finger, and your belt's tight. And you're breathing, breathing, holding the strength, pulling the heel and the back heel together, front heel and back heel. You're pulling them in, you're finding that strong base, finding the evenness in your hips and shoulders, shoulders soft away from the ears. You have 2 more breaths here. And then we're going to flow. We'll reach forward on our next inhale, flip the palm and find our exalted warrior straight up, reaching to the sky. That back arm just skims the back leg. And then we find that extended warrior, right? Not dumping into the front leg. Arm can go straight up to the sky or overhead toward the ear, and we'll flow with the breath. Inhaling, exalted. Exhaling into extended. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And find your warrior two first. And then we'll straighten that front leg, finding that extended triangle. We push the front hips forward as we reach up. Back arm can rest that back leg. You're pushing your front hips forward. And then full triangle, right hips back, torso forward, as far as you can go. And that's where you twist down into that triangle pose. And you want to try and keep those hips pulling in. So not here. Pull up a little bit and pull your hips in. You want to, again, imagine that wall. And it can be really helpful when you're first in these poses in the very beginning to practice against a wall. It can be incredibly helpful to find the pose. 1 more breath. And we'll flow through that high-low push-up into our chaturanga. Cartwheel all the way down into that low lunge. Find your plank pose that you want to work through. And then we'll find inhaling, shifting forward. Exhaling, lowering down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale into your down dog. Remember I showed you tucking toes and pushing back into a half child pose and lifting from there. Another way to come out of your cobra, you roll the toes to the tops of the feet, and that's another way to come into down dog. And I just give you options. You take what you like and you leave the rest behind. Taking 2 more breaths here. Or if child pose is where you want to go, take your body there. A little bit more for standing strong. Hop, step, walk to the top fronts of your mat. Forward fold down. Halfway lift on your next inhale. Exhale, fold down. We're going to find a little bit of balance before we come down into our final stretches. So inhale, root down, rise up, sweep up, bring hands to heart center on your exhale. And you're going to find yourself facing me, lined up with the long edge of your mat. And we're going to find a big toe hold for our balance pose, standing strong class this morning. And so I encourage you, if balance isn't something that you practice on the regular, and why I will often bring balance into my classes, because you really do lose it when you don't use it. So I try to use it and bring it to keep us in the practice, because balance poses not only lower heart rate, right, bring us really back centered again, but they also have us access what I call our courage muscle. And I have found courage to have taken me so far in life. And I recognize the tremendous value of courage in life that when we practice the balance, I'm encouraging you to access that courage muscle and not be afraid to go a little further than maybe you think you can. Like if you think, there's no way I'm getting into a big toe hold, which looks like this, and I can see you're brand new, you're like, no effing way, what is she even talking about? I get you. That's where you're gonna wanna find a support system. And just move yourself near a wall, near a chair, near a countertop, a windowsill here I could use, but just have it nearby. Doesn't even mean you're going to use it, right? That's where courage might, you know it's there, and you know you could reach out to it if you needed it, but that's where we're testing that courage muscle. So we will start on this leg so that I can show you how you would use a support system. I'm going to be near it. I'm not going to be right up against it because I'm going to test my balance. But I know it's there if I did fall, right? I'm not falling all the way to the ground, which is okay too. You got a mat under you. But so the big toe hold starts like this. We're going to start with a twist and then take it into a big toe hold. So the twist, you're going to, again, like we did in the first of class, wade into this leg that's next to your support system. Shoulders soft away from the ears, belt tight around your waist. Everything's engaged and you're wading without dumping into that hip. So you're staying lifted, and then flex that foot, and you're going to draw the knee up. And you're going to draw that opposite hand either in front of the shin or to the outside of the knee. So you have a couple options there. And then you can just start to look over that outside shoulder. If it feels right, you might extend that arm back behind you, spreading the fingers, right? So everything's engaged here. Your belt's on, feet are flexed, hands are engaged, shoulders are soft, breathing. And we're going to come into the big toe hold next. So we come forward, and with the peace fingers on this back outside arm, we find, and see, I put myself here on purpose because I'm talking through, and that definitely takes me out of balance a little bit. So peace fingers around the big toe, and you're staying lifted in this hip, and you want to get this first, and it might just be here today. This might be as far as we go today. Now, staying very lifted here, and that's the key to extending this leg out. And you can get out first, maybe that's as far as you go. You can keep a lot of bend in that knee. Maybe that's as far as you go. You can reach this arm out. Maybe eventually it comes here. Taking one more breath. Letting that go. And remember, I said finding a point. So I immediately found a point on my floor that wasn't moving, because in balance, that can help so much. Now I'm moving to this other side just for the visual, but I don't have something over here on purpose because I know I'm really good on balance on this side. Excuse me while I take a drink, and I invite you to as well. Very important to stay hydrated in your practice. With all the energy you're moving through your body in these movements and with the breath. So that twist first, and what it would look like if you don't have a support system near you and you were really out of balance, right? Maybe I didn't want to do this. I could stay connected to the floor. I could do my twist from here. I don't have to come up off the floor. These are all options I'm showing you so that you can make it work for your body. Because I want you to feel success in your practice. When I am your guide, I'm giving you lots of options for you to feel successful. One more breath here. And then that big toe hold next. So I'm going to talk less and show more. Finding my drishti point. Finding the lift first. Nice and lifted. Out in front. I feel strong there. I can pull it open. One more breath. Let that go. So good. All right, coming through full sun south, and then we're gonna come down into our final stretches. Finding your feet hip width distance. Inhale, reach up. Lift up. Fold forward. Swan diving over. Halfway lift. Next inhale. Exhale, find your plank pose. Move through your high-low push-up, knees or toes. Child pose, not down dog. Find your child pose. We're not going to stay here very long. Take one breath. And then find your upper body lifting and your seat underneath you. So just moving your legs out in front of you and finding long legs in front. You find your sit bones connected to the mat, removing any of that fleshy part. Nice and long through the spine. Staff pose here. We're going to forward fold right away. So inhaling up, keeping your feet flexed. Slight bend in the knee. As you fold forward, hands drop wherever they do. Keep your chin lifted, heart reaching out. We're stretching down the back of the leg first. On the next inhale, right arm on the outside of the left ankle. Reach your left arm back. Exhale. Flow through that with the breath. Inhale, reach to the opposite outside ankle. Reach that opposite arm back. Flow with that. One more each side. Holding all the way down, let your chin tuck here, let the C curve happen in the spine, taking that stretch through the upper back into the neck. Take one more breath here. And then come on up with that upper body. Scoot yourself so that you can lower your upper body slower than you want to go. This is how we do some down and dirty ab work before we come into the back end of class. So you can keep the knees straight, bend them up if you want, less intense. You're going slower than you want to go. You're inviting quake and shake into the transverse abdominal system right now. This is down and dirty ab work. Go slow, 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 slow. Make it work, make it shake. Make it quick. You hate it, I know. It's slow, slow, slow. I know you want to quit. I know you want to give up. And when you cannot do it any longer, let it go. Reach out overhead, point your toes, lift that low back, come up, and then good front body stretch here. And then you can wiggle those hips a little bit and take your feet wide to the edges of your mat. So settle the low back in, nice and heavy through the hips and shoulders spread. I like to take my hair out from my neck, keep it nice and long. The chin is slightly tucked, not lifted. Any crunching in the neck, keep it long. And then spread your arms wide here and start to windshield wiper those knees across the mat, holding that knee down, maybe for an extra second, getting into the hip flexor. And then you want to slow it down and you want to turn your head the opposite way of the knees. And if you can handle it, adding one more piece here, goal posting the lower part of the arm up so that your shoulders get a good stretch. If you can handle that, if it feels like too much, just keep the arms long. And you're going slow enough that nothing is pulling in your neck. And you're breathing, using the breath, inhaling one movement, exhaling the other. A couple more rounds. Last one. We'll draw the knees into the chest one at a time. And I like to ask you to hold behind your knee, not on the shin, just adding more compression to the knee joint that we just don't need as we get older. You can rock across that low back if that feels good. It's a way to break up myofascia on the surface, get you a little deeper into the stretches here at the end. Also a nice little massage with your own body weight. So stay weighted through your hips. You're not coming up so high that you don't feel this along very bottom of the low back. And maybe coming all the way onto the side, even so you feel it into your side seat slightly. Couple more rounds. Good, come through center. We're gonna extend the left leg down, reach the right leg up, move the foot around, pointing, flexing, rolling the ankle one direction, then the other. Let your hands find somewhere behind the leg, calf or ankle. And then with your next inhale, you're lifting the upper body. You're attempting to bring the knee and the nose close to each other. And then you're exhaling back down. You're opening up into a one-legged happy baby. So that right hand finds either outside edge of your foot, inside arch, big toe, right? You can find whatever feels right to hold on your foot, pressing that knee toward the armpit, finding a one-legged happy baby. And then you can stay there if you like that, or you can move with me. I like movement, pulling a heel in, extending it back out. I'm going to do that a couple more times with the breath. And then I'm going to let that leg go all the way down on the mat, draw that left knee in, extend the leg up, begin to move the foot around, rolling ankle both directions, pointing, flexing the foot, getting that stretch way down into that Achilles heel. And the one-legged happy baby on the, oh, nope, we're going to do the big no to knees first. So hands find back of the calf, maybe the ankle, nice and long through the leg. As we inhale, we're lifting the upper body, attempting to bring the knee and nose together. And then exhaling, drawing down, finding that one-legged happy baby on this side, holding your foot where you like, knee toward the armpit. You can hold that, right? Or move it. So you have options that you do not have to move with me. You can just hold it and enjoy and breathe into that. One more. Good, letting that go. We're going to stretch the hips. So you want to draw the left over the right. Find pretty lady legs. You're going to keep your feet flexed. You're going to find your hands on your shins. Some of you may be more practiced and be able to lift up and find the outside edges of the feet. And that's going to be a little deeper stretch here. But shins are enough. You keep the knees pulling into the chest and the feet lifted and flexed. And then as you pull those shins apart, you're going to find that stretch even deeper into the side seat, IT band area, hip. Taking one more breath. Release the legs so the feet draw toward each other. Use your bottom foot on the mat to lift the hips, stack them as the knees drop to the right of your mat. You can extend your left arm long. You can gaze down that long arm, and then your right hand can find the top of your knee and just put a little pressure and see about releasing your bottom hip all the way, and take one more breath here. Tighten your belt as you come through center and just switch out the legs. So settle the low back in as you cross the right over left, feet flexed, knees toward the chest, finding shins, maybe outside edges on this side. One more breath. Release. Feet drop toward each other, bottom foot on the mat to lift the hips to stack them. That allows the spine to stay long in your twist and your shoulders flat on the mat. Long right arm, gaze down that right side, and left hand, a little bit of pressure to release the bottom hip. Breathe into this twist. Tight belt as you come through center, coming into our final resting pose. We're going to squeeze up into it. So knees come into the chest. This time, hands on top, arms crossing over. You want to find some part of your arm so you can really squeeze your knees towards your chest. You're going to scrunch the shoulders up to your ears as your face comes into the knees. We take a big breath with everything squeezing tight. And then we exhale and pull apart. I'm just adjusting myself to the full length of my mat. Legs are wide to those outside corners, palms are up, shoulders are spread, long neck and spine, chin slightly tucked. Nice and heavy through the hips. Finding deep breaths here, staying with the breath, staying in this moment, staying with the practice of the being. Thinking on the practice and the standing strong postures and how your body was able to hold strength, build strength, show strength. Maybe turning the corners of your lips up as you breathe, and just notice what that changes in your body energetically. We're allowing for the integration of the practice. So often in our culture, we're just rushing from one thing to the next, not ever absorbing anything of value. We just lovingly took ourselves through a practice that showed how strong we actually are, and that with the breath, we have created not only strength, but peace and harmony. We have aligned once again and found freedom. And we are integrating all of that back into our bodies. Doing a quick scan down the whole body. Imagine the light of the Most High coming in through the top of your head, the crown of your chakra system, and just see that light come down through the head, through the whole face area, the neck and jaw, along the shoulders, down through the arms and the torso, just holding that light anywhere that you feel needs a little extra attention, a little extra clearing. See that light come through the hips, down through the pelvic region, all the way across the thighs, down through the knees, down through your calves, your ankles, your Achilles heel, through the feet, through the toes, and anything no longer serving, releasing from the body. Wiggling fingers, toes, waking the body back up to come into our final breaths together. I like to roll my wrists around and pick one foot up at a time and roll my ankles out as I'm preparing to come back to the current reality. And taking time, not rushing out of this at all. Really just gently handling yourself, drawing the knees into the chest one at a time when you're ready. And again, there's no rush to it. It's what feels right for you on any day that you're in your practice. You can wiggle around a little bit. You can rock if that feels good. You can decide, which side do I want to rock off to today? Whichever side you do decide, you're going to lift that arm up overhead as you rock fully onto your side so that your head finds a little pillow in your bicep. Your knees are close to your chest. This is your fetal position. I take you here to remind you this is a safe place to be anytime you need to feel held, anytime you need the reminder of how safe you truly are. You can put yourself in this posture. Free hand on the heart. And we just express a little gratitude to ourselves for coming to our practice, for the dedication and the commitment to be rather than just do. That free hand finds the earth, pushes you up into a seated position. Doesn't matter which leg is forward, doesn't matter what your seat looks like, doesn't have to look like mine, just an easy seated position where we will take our final breath together. And what I like to say is we are gathering all this infinite peace, infinite wisdom, infinite love that we have found in our practice today, gathering up to take it deeper within our hearts to share with our friends, with our families, with our neighbors, even with those people that trigger, that we might consider enemies. The divine light of infinite isness within me sees, honors, delights in that loving, divine, infinite isness in you, divine legend. And together we say, Namaste. And so it is. Bless you.